You as a couple need to have like a mission together. That really binds you. Like there's the attraction, there's the, yeah, you enjoy each other, but having some type of mission that you both are focused on and working together unites you and strengthens your relationship in so many ways.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. My name is Josh Doyle, and today I have a guest. I have had guests before. I've had many guests on this show, but this guest is a special guest. He is my dear friend, Danny MacKay. He comes from the land of Canada, and I just love this dude to death. After this conversation, you will as well. Danny, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, right on, man. Thanks for having me. Always good to see you, brother. Man, I miss you. You need to move here. That's what needs to happen. We need some Doyle in Canada.
I love it, man. Well, tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, and what you're up to these days.
Sure. So, my name's Danny. Living up here in the great white north of Canada, about as far away from Texas as humanly possible. My wife and I lead a ministry up here called Equip Canada. And so we have a whole bunch of missionaries serving God all around the world. And what my wife and I focus on is we love focusing on unreached people groups. So places around the world where no one else is going, where everyone else is leaving, we want to send teams in. So we lead teams into places like the Amazon, Nepal, Botswana, amongst the Basarwa people. We've been into Asia and all over different places. And so we just want to go where the gospel isn't getting. And so we're just truly, truly grateful for what God is doing in our day. So exciting things are going on for sure.
It's amazing. Let me start off by asking this question. What's it like being able to travel with your wife? And she's just as pumped to go to these unreached, unengaged people groups like you. What's it like having a spouse that's on fire, heading in the same direction, and ready to go serve in hard parts of the world with you?
Dude, it's the best. I'm not gonna lie, it's the best. And when I met her, one of the first things first of all, I mean, she's incredibly beautiful. So, I noticed that right away. I opened the door, mutual friend's birthday party. She was standing there holding this tray of food. And I swear, man, I'm not making it up. There was like the porch light was like shining down on her. It was just like, oh, it was like a sign. But anyway, totally got talking to her right away. It just radared right in, and just started talking to her and sharing about, my hopes, my dreams, what I'm doing, unreached people groups. And to me, I'm kind of thinking to myself, this has got to be somewhat of a like you go to these places and sleep in tents and go down rivers and dodge, war zones and different things like that sometimes. But she was like so into it and just right away was like, I've done missions. I've been on like 4 or 5 mission trips, and I'm just really hungry to do more. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And she was so excited, and I was telling stories, and just knowing that she had that same spirit, that same call to missions was hugely attractive to me, man. And then of course I learned that she's like super good at admin, which I'm not. So, and then she loves to cook, which, man, like I can't even balance making toast and craft dinner at the same time. Like I can't coordinate that. It's too much. But, just learning all these things about her, I just remember thinking in the back of my head, this woman's perfect for me. Lord, can I marry her? Like it was just that clear. So it's been wild, man. She puts up with like crazy travel and staying in not nice locations, sleeping on the ground, bugs, fires, danger, persecution. There's been some things we've experienced, but she just she's all in, man. I can't be more thankful, for real.
So good. So why This is a good question. I think that we could go both ways, and we can both answer this one. But being, why is it so important to have that same mindset for ministry? This is for those that are listening, that are in ministry. Why is it so important to have a wife that is supportive, that's on board, versus having one that's maybe not into it, maybe not, hey, you go do that, I'm fine here, and just kind of being on different pages. I'd love to hear. I know we've had many conversations about this.
Yeah.
What do you think on both sides? Why it's important, why also it can be a pitfall as well if you're not on the same page.
Yeah. No, I think, regardless of whatever it is you're doing, you guys need to have, like, you as a couple need to have like a mission together, that really binds you. Like, there's the attraction, there's the, yeah, you enjoy each other, but having, really whatever it is, some type of mission that you both are focused on and working together unites you and strengthens your relationship in so many ways that, a vacation in Mexico or fancy dates, I mean, those are all great.
Yeah.
Do those if you can, here and there, but like, you need more. You need a mission, a passion that unites you together. And I think if you don't have that, there's this like separate lives. You can come home as a husband, or you can come home and have experienced all these things, or gone through all these, or going through all these struggles, and to go through them together and having like a teammate it's invaluable, man. It's invaluable. You need it. There's those things we've talked about, like the four cylinders that make a relationship work really well.
Yeah.
And right now we're talking about one of the main cylinders, which is like a directional attraction to each other. We talked about a physical attraction. That's important, man.
Yeah.
You need to be vibing. It's important. The second is like, a spiritual attraction, that you're both on the same page spiritually, that not that you necessarily believe everything together, but that you spiritually are on fire for God, and you're both focused on serving him and giving your lives to him. And then the third one we talked about was just like a relational attraction, that you actually enjoy each other, that you actually have fun, that your spouse is your best friend, right? And then the fourth one, which we're just talking about now, is directional attraction, that you both are aiming at the same things. You're focused on.
Yeah, so good. For me, man, same thing. Like when Jess and I started getting together, started dating, and just plotting out, what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? And she had such a missional heart, still does. Dude, that was key. And I remember people that we were working with in Jordan, some of our nationals out there, they're like, man, just make sure whoever you end up with, that she is also on the same page, that she wants to go with you where you go, or support you in this, because we've seen relationships crumble when two people are on different pages, like completely different pages, amazing people in ministry that we know, that we've just seen them, completely on different separate pages, and it's too much stress on their marriage. It's a hard thing. So the four cylinders: relational, spiritual, physical, and directional. So we can share a little bit more about those. But the difference being able to travel with or without your spouse, I'm sure, has been a total game changer for you. What's it been like on these last few trips when you go into like gnarly places? And I think you were telling me a story just now about, actually, I'd love to hear it. Someone lit the mountain on fire as you're trying to come down. I heard something about that. You guys almost jamming it down. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. So we were in a country in East Asia. I just, because I don't want to say it on here, because you're not supposed to be there doing this, mission work there. But we were, and we're going up and down these mountains into villages, and a lot of Buddhist and Hindu villages. And we were coming into this one village. We're coming down the mountain, And we had a team. There was 27 of us, actually. There was 7 or 8 North Americans, and then the rest were all from that country. And we're coming down the mountain, and they just lit it on fire. The village. They obviously could see us coming. Obviously could hear this massive team coming down. So they just lit the mountain on fire, and we couldn't run towards it. Couldn't run back up. So we only scooted like sideways, and just as it was coming closer and closer to us, about a couple of 100 feet away from us, this breeze came from behind us and just pushed the fire like away from us. And then it went up and around and then up, So it was just wild that God was in there. So we just descended into this village, and people came to Christ, and it was wild. And I'm just like, I'm with my wife, man, like she's right beside me. And we're going down into this village and, start spending time around the people. And then later that night, we're just talking about what a crazy day it was. And she was so fired up. Like, she was just like, man, that was crazy, that breeze and everything. So we got to celebrate that together and come home, when we were sitting on our couch and sitting down with other couples or other people, other friends, other supporters, sharing these stories together. It's so much more fun than just me coming back and relaying everything to her.
Yeah.
Like we experienced this together. So, I've been saying I had a couple of young guys that I mentor on this trip, and they're both single, but they're like really open.
Yeah.
If there's any single women listening to this that, in
got
their
some good
early
dudes
20s, yeah, I got get some connects for you up here in Canada. But just been really challenging them, like the same way you were challenged that you just shared a little bit ago. So important for these young guys, man. Like, because these guys are fired up, dedicated to mission, dedicated their lives to serving God on mission. And I've just said, like, you need to find a wife that wants to go with you, that's going to join you in the field. And it is one thing to be, sure, celebrated when you go and celebrated when you come back, but it's a whole other life of having your spouse join in with you. I've longed for that for a long time. So I'm thankful.
So good, dude. I love it. So, for the people listening, maybe they're not in ministry, but these 4 cylinders we're talking about, firing on all 4 cylinders is key for everyone. So relational, let's hit some practical stuff. So for those listening, you're maybe not in ministry, maybe you do a mission trip every now and then or whatever, but this is still important, I think, to anyone listening. So relational attraction, let's hit with some practical stuff here. How do you and your spouse ensure and maintain a strong friendship and emotional connection in your marriage?
Yeah, totally. So, yeah. And even if someone is in mission, like if they're like already married and they don't have that right now, let me just say, like, find something. Maybe it's not this overall big, this is the one mission we do. We go after unreached people groups. Like, right. But if you don't have that currently and you're like, man, but I'm married and she's kind of doing this. She's got her career. I got mine. But find something together that you both serve at, whether it's volunteer or something that you both are just passionate about. Find something, talk about it, open up about it, and share your hearts and things that are interested. And chances are, it interests your wife and things like that. But find something you're both, just interested in and start doing it. And so for Leanne and I, one huge thing, this is going to sound so 101, like basic, but like, man, we do date night, Thursday nights, that's our night, man. And we go out, we don't spend a lot of money. We go do something cheap. We just, go to a little local restaurant, or like literally a 2.5 minute, 3 minute walk from our house. And we just go there and we have wings and we just sit down for a few hours and we just talk about how much we love each other.
Yeah. I love you more. No, stop.
No,
I know.
I love you more. No, you hang up.
I'm going to feed you your wing now. Open up.
Yeah. She feeds me wings. I feed her.
Oh, yeah. It's so special.
Yeah, it's very special. It's very messy. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, man, we really take time to plan that. We also plan our day off, like we plan what we're going to do. And man, I know everything that she's passionate about.
Yeah.
So I try to, keep an eye out for opportunities to do that. Like she just loves greenhouses and plants and farmers markets. And
Love it.
like, dude, I get lost there. I have to go to like information and say like, I'm lost. I don't know where my wife is,
Can you page my wife?
Page.
Is Leanne there? Your husband is lost.
For real. So just finding like if I'll see something in the newspaper like that little clipping for an ad, I'll like, set that aside and be like, put it in our calendar. So we're always like planning fun stuff together as in the midst of our super busy ministry schedule. Also, just side note, if you are in ministry and you get to travel for your ministry, take an extra day, go exploring. I spoke at a youth conference in New York, in Buffalo, New York, and we took an extra day and a half to just go and explore a part of the city we'd never been in before. Now, I know everybody can't do that, but go explore your city, go find some cool stuff. Look in the paper. There's always new stuff. Go create new experiences that both of you haven't done before and just go hang out, talk, laugh, dream, look back, look ahead, just share with each other and find something common. Yeah.
So good, man. Jesse and I, at times we feel like we can be in a rut, and like, when was the last time we even went out, and we never get to connect. The kids, we love them to death, but at times, you just don't get that connection. And man, it's been fun recently when we go out on dates. We, instead of going out to eat, we'll do that as well at times, but we'll sometimes just go around and go to a store and, hey, buy something for each other, like an outfit or something that we mix it up a bit, just try something new, different. But man, it's that whole idea of trying to date again and trying to pursue each other, I think is so hard and so foreign once you throw kids in the mix. But man, getting back to that, I think has been so key for our marriage. Like you said, finding those little things that they're passionate about, that they love. And man, that's just so important. And so anyways, I love that. So another one is spiritual attraction. We kind of talked a little bit about this, but here's a question for you. So how do you and your spouse, like, how do you nurture that spiritual side and that connection and grow together in that, right? Like, I don't know if you have any words of advice for the listeners, but I think that's super important as well.
Yeah. So for the longest time in the first while of our marriage, we weren't really doing devotionals together, not devotional, but like just spending time together, just praying. But this last couple of years, we've really stepped it up in that area, really. And even more so in the last 4 or 5 months, where we just take time to pray. Like, and my wife's awesome at this. She'll literally phone me on sometime when she's driving somewhere. She'll be like, can I pray for you? Or she'll just share like, guess what God said this morning? Or, but we have a lot of people in our lives let us know, like ask us to pray for them, right? Like hey, can you guys pray for me? I'm on my way to the hospital, or my mom's going through this, or my dad or my brother or my husband, whatever. Just, we all know there's a lot of need. And instead of just like when someone asks her and she tells me about it, we literally stop right there and we just spend some time praying for these people before we go to bed. Sometimes, we'll just pray together, or sometimes when we're starting our day, or if I'm pulling up and we're speaking at a church, we'll like literally stop in the parking lot, and just be like, hey, let's just pray for a bit, and just spend some time. And of course, because we're in full-time ministry together, we're often praying with people, that kind of thing, speaking, sharing with people, training. So, we're always kind of that way. But I think what like my favorite is just when we have a minute to just sit on the couch, hold hands, and just pray. And do you remember Sam and Gracia?
Yeah.
Remember him? He was for those of you, he was one of our vice presidents at a ministry that Josh and I used to work with. And he has a book that we've found really helpful. It's called Just Say the Word. And what it is just take like 3 or 4 verses from the Bible or a Bible story like the prodigal son or the woman at the well or, Zacchaeus, whatever. Just take a Bible story, read it, share with each other what really stood out to you. What did God say to you? And just take like a minute or 2 each to just say, I really found this. And then pray that for each other, because that's God's word speaking to you both. And then you're praying about it together. Super simple, beautiful advice that he gave us many years ago. And he really taught us about how little we as husbands actually pray with our wives.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been like repenting of and learning to do.
Have you noticed a difference praying with your spouse?
Not at all.
You haven't? No.
I'm just kidding. Of course.
I'm like, what? Like, it's a great book, but I have not learned one thing from it. And actually, the prayers haven't felt much of a difference.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. Yeah, man, for sure. For sure, we see a difference. And we get back and we hear from people. And then we can actually say with a clear conscience, yeah, Leanne and I prayed for you. So it's not like, ooh, I meant to. Thought of you a bit. Remembered that you asked me to pray, but it actually gives us something to, and yeah, man, we see answers to prayer and I can tell, like, don't tell her I said this and stuff, but like, I can tell she loves it when I lead spiritually, like totally. When I'm like, hey babe, check out what I read, or hey, I just wanted to pray for you before you go. Like she just loves that stuff, man. It's such a W for the husband calling.
So good. Dude, that's important. And I noticed when Jess and I started praying together right before bed, whether it's like something our kids are going through, like, hey, Lord, help them through this hurdle, or, we see a kid, one of our kids, it's hurting in a certain area, or, something that we just like, it just breaks your heart. Man, we just start praying together before bedtime. And so for those listening, highly, highly encourage praying, scriptures, like Danny was saying. That's a great book, by the way. Great book. But praying with your spouse, I think, is key. We've seen the Lord move in some areas with our kids. We see maybe an area of hurt or concern or worry, whatever, in our children. And we just start to pray and pray and pray over that. And man, we see them get over hurdles. I mean, it's just like quickly we see them where it's been months and months and months of this issue of that we're trying to pray through. Like one of my boys, man, just really praying for him to connect well with others. And for a while it was a struggle. We'd pick him up at school and we'd see, hey, he just wanted to play by himself at recess today, or hey, he didn't want to hang with the other boys today. And it breaks your heart as a parent. And so we would start to pray and pray and pray, months and months and months, of this going on. And you just feel terrible. You just wish you could reach in and say, hey, buddy, do this, this, and this, and it'll help you. Man, starting to pray together at bed, lifting those prayers before the Lord, dude, within like days, completely different child in that area. And we've seen that in all of our boys in different areas. And so, man, I think that that's so important, especially with a spouse, to have that spiritual attraction. And man, I just think it's such a good way to pray for your family and cover your family in prayer. And dude, you and I talk about this all the time, even on mission trips. You see people that are, there's a lot of emotion on mission trips, and some people, like our job as a leader is to keep the spirits up, keep people engaged, happy, and see how, like, hey, are you going through something? Is there something we can talk about, pray about, whatever? That's a hard role to be in, but you're always looking out for those people that are maybe struggling, that are hurting. And man, I think that's so important for our relationship with our wives, to be able to pray for our family, for people around us, like you were saying. And that's just so big. So
yeah, man. And what happens too when you pray with your wife, I would honestly encourage you to do this, because I've had to as well, is if you and when you and your spouse have tension, and you've been impatient, you've been maybe a little snappy, got angry, said some things that were rude, hurtful, just got into it.
Yeah.
Like, even if you felt justified and you were right, but you still overacted, and you need to go. And this is the thing, like when you go to God and got tension with someone else, like, you feel the Lord telling you to go and humble yourself, go make it right,
Yeah.
go apologize,
Yeah.
go start the process. Man, that's so hard.
So
Everything
hard.
in my flesh just wants to feel justified, wants to feel like I'm allowed to be angry. I can't believe she said that or did that or whatever, but like when you go to your spouse and you humble yourself and you apologize, and then you go to like, let's pray together about this. And when you repent in front of your wife before the Lord, that's huge, man. You're speaking so much to her heart,
Game changer.
and you're doing it right, and like, the fruit of the Spirit is the anger, the rage, the malice, the fits, and all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, but like the fruit of the Spirit is like love, joy, peace. This is the one I struggle with: patience, gentleness, goodness, self-control, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you haven't acted in that way and you go with your wife to pray, like, man, just humble yourself before God and before your wife. And, I guarantee you, she'll respect you more when you do that than if you justify why you were right
And you
why
win
you
an
said
argument.
what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're winning the argument. You're like logically, but you've lost her heart.
Yeah. Yep.
So did you win?
That's key. That's a good point, man. You've lost her heart, but you've won the argument. I saw a great meme that's like, yeah, I totally won an argument with my wife, and it's a guy sprawled out on the couch, and he's proud about his argument that he won. That's like, how many times have we been in that place where you said, dude, like, you want to win, that tension is festering, that anger can take over. And man, I've had some people in my life that have said in those moments, it's so hard to forgive. It's so hard to move past what you're feeling, and it's justified, right? It's typically justified, but to seek reconciliation, like you said, seeking them out, humbling yourself. Yeah. And dude, literally it can change on a dime. It's the last thing you want to do in those moments that I want to do. But man, I've seen it change on a dime. And my wife, dude, she's incredible. Like she can move past things so much quicker than I can. Like I can let it fester, build up. I can be frustrated, and she's like moved on, and I still am mad and angry. And dude, if I don't bring that and come to her and seek reconciliation, hey, I'm still super mad about this and I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I was the one that messed up. She's incredible, man. She's already moved on half the time. I'm not every time, but half the time, she's like, I don't know. Our wives are just so much more spiritually advanced than us, man.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I swear, man, I'm not even making it up, but I bet you 90%, well, maybe 87%.
Give yourself a little credit.
Or me. Yeah. Something I did, something I didn't do, something I should have done, something I forgot, something I shouldn't have forgot, whatever. But like, yeah. And I agree. And that whole thing about forgiveness, we, like, my wife models it, just like you said too, with yours. She's such a great forgiver. She's so full of grace, so full of humility that she will just like, thank you. I forgive you. And I'm sorry if you felt that, and then she'll go into her thing and it's like, we just move on,
Yeah.
But, she's so good. But that humbling ourselves, like, just like we were saying before, it's so hard, right? But then I think about like, Christ went to a cross to bring peace between us. Like, how unenjoyable was that? And all I'm being asked to do is go humble myself and admit where I was wrong, And man, it's just so important that when we're in those places of tension, whether it's a season, which those are the worst, when you have a whole season of tension, not just a moment, but like a season, to go and humble yourself before God and your wife and just like take responsibility and repent for the negativity, the bitterness, the, holding sins against and, feeling justified, the pride, all of it that get mixed in there. Just to let that go and repent before God and before yourself. Man, That's such a great
So big.
place to start.
Dudes, I love that you said that. So for those listening, what does that look like, Danny, when you're going through something like that? A season of bitterness, things are taking root. I mean, there's times where you can see where people, if they don't have Jesus in their life, it's like, dude, it'd be easy to just end this. It'd be easy. There's so much tension. I see why people can't make it through, but I've found in those moments, typically, I'm the one at fault. I'm the one holding on to bitterness and unforgiveness and, with good reason, right? At times there's things that we can really let build up and fester, and it can turn into not just a couple days, but a season, right?
Yeah.
Why is it important to repent and to bring that to the Lord and say, hey, show me my blind spots?
Yeah, honestly, I think like the longer we're willing to let that season drag on, just shows the lack of honor and reverence for Christ. Because from what I'm reading in Scripture, you can't be right with God and still be bitter at anyone, especially your spouse, right? Like Jesus even said clearly, if you don't forgive people their sins, your heavenly Father will not forgive yours.
Yep.
And he talks about if you come to the altar to present a gift, but there remember your brother has something against you, go to your brother and make things right. Then come offer your gift. So
Yeah.
hold on to unforgiveness when God has forgiven us for so much. It's a really dangerous place spiritually. And so I think the first thing we got to do is like, man, do I care that by hanging on to this is breaking my relationship with Christ?
Is it more important to hold on?
Yeah, man, those verses and that truth about forgiveness, like, kind of scares me. Like, I think it helps me even when I'm angry to come to a place where like I don't have a choice. I have to navigate through till I reach the place of forgiving, and that's not always an emotion. Emotions follow later, but forgiveness is such a, and it's more than just a choice, because it's somehow wrapping your head around the reality of what happened, choosing to give grace, choosing to see beyond whatever it is you're upset about. Even if it's consistent and ongoing on her side, is, start with that place of forgiveness. And that's not saying it's okay. Like if you're being mistreated, it's not saying it's okay. It's fine. It's none of that. This is probably a whole other podcast, but just reaching that place where you are able to love and forgive and then go and humble yourself, ask for forgiveness, offer forgiveness. Don't say, and I forgive you. Don't do it that way. Trust me. But, do let her open up and share. And if it comes to that place, and then, man, just start rebuilding, start rebuilding. It's not worth hanging on to that anger, that bitterness. It's such an unfun, just ruins everything. It just
rots you from the inside. It rots your marriage, dude. Not fun. Not fun. That's such good advice.
Fun. Brings a whole atmosphere into the house.
Yep.
Be the atmosphere bringer, man. I think we as husbands we're called to that. We're called to bring the atmosphere of joy, fun, and people feel good around us. Like how much more fun is it to be around someone who makes you feel awesome about yourself?
Right.
Makes you feel like they see you and they love you and they value you, and there's always so encouraging, and you're like drawn to that person. We can create that atmosphere in our home. But how fun is it when you're around someone you can tell like you're annoying them, and you're in their way. They're just like, what do you want? Like that's not
not fun at all, man. Not fun, dude. I'm glad that was well said. So, all right. So we've hit 2 of the 4. Physical attraction is one that we've hit. Or we've talked through. We did a fly over that. So what advice would you give to couples listening, maybe that are struggling right now to maintain that physical intimacy or that, attraction, that physical attraction with each other? It's kind of putting you on the hot seat there. We can kind of dissect it together, but any advice you'd give?
Well, I think, I've talked with friends who are in a relationship, and they're starting, like, here's what I would say, when you're starting is make sure you are physically attracted. Sometimes, we can put that, especially as like, Western Christians, we can be like, oh, don't be so selfish and don't be so fleshly. It's not that important.
Right.
You just need all these other characteristics, and physical is like, but I'm like, nah, man, that's important. Like, God gave us that,
Yeah.
and I think you need to be attracted to each other. And so for those just starting out, like, make sure you find them. If you're finding yourself telling yourself, well, but they got all these other characteristics, but I'm not saying, that's the only most important one, but it is an important one. I
Yeah.
think you should make sure that you have some type of like, wow, towards them,
Yeah.
and if you don't feel that, somebody else will, that it's probably they're meant to be with someone
Yeah.
else. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that sounds shallow, but I think it's like super important. And um, if you start to lose that, man, I don't, like that. That is a real challenge. Maybe
Yeah.
we could tackle that in another
Yeah, man.
podcast. But
For sure, we could hit that another one. I mean, where my mind immediately goes to is just protecting your eyes, protecting what you're looking at online, right? I mean, there's so much junk coming at us. I was reading something the other day. They said men today can look at more porn that in bed in the morning than men did their entire lifetime a generation ago. So just in the morning, men can be scrolling through and stumble upon some stuff, and they can get into more pornography just in bed in the morning than the previous generations did their entire lifetime. It's everywhere, and it's so normalized, and it's like you don't look at that, dude. What's wrong with you? I mean, it's like, dude, it is such a pitfall. It's such a place. I immediately go there. I think that once you start to lose that physical attraction, I think there can be some men that are maybe looking for it somewhere else and comparing, and all of a sudden, well, I wish I had this versus that. Super, super unhealthy place to be. And I ain't casting any stones by any means to anyone. I just think that can be a place where men can easily get tripped up because it's everywhere if you're not protecting yourself. And it can be a pitfall.
And if you choke that out, if you get that out, because it's the comparing, right? That's what gets in, is you start looking at something, idealizing it, and you start going off the rails into looking at whatever, and you start comparing your spouse. Now you're going to notice, and it's going to start to create this divide. That once that takes root, you can actually be like, well, that doesn't do it for me anymore. And it can get really into a really dark place. And so I think if you do cut that off and choose only to enjoy and look at your spouse, that it can really begin to revive and heal that part of your relationship and your mind and your thinking. But man, it is no easy task. It is a monumental task to take every thought captive with all that we're bombarded with. Like, you can't even walk through the mall with just like posters and whatever, or watch TV or look anywhere. It's everywhere. We know that. And so, like, taking every thought captive, like just taking your eyes off that. No, I'm not going to glance. I'm not going to keep focused on that. Will bring some type of healing into your relationship. Guarantee it.
That's good, man. That's really good.
It.
Well, we talked a little bit about this at the front, and it's the last one is directional attraction, and essentially pointing in the right direction, going in the same place. And you covered this at the very beginning here. I think that's super important as in marriage as well, as just being on the same page. I think of my parents, my dad was a pastor, and my mom, dude, so supportive, supportive in all the different challenges he faced. Going into ministry or going into missions, she was right there with him, so supportive, going on trips. And so, dude, I prayed for that. I hoped that. And thankfully I found a spouse who's incredible, that's, wants to do the same things. And so, man, I know we talked about this a little bit, but would you add anything else to this idea of being directionally attracted and heading the same place?
There's always this temptation, right? There will be a temptation to try to bend it and fit, make it so that it looks like it's one direction vision that you both share together. But it's really, don't bend it and force it, especially if you're in the dating phase. So I'm talking to you young guys who aren't married yet, but are, out there looking for a spouse, praying and waiting. If you have to force it, and I've got a couple of young guys who I'm mentoring, and they're like, no, man, she's so supportive and wants to do that. I'm like, yeah, well, but what about, does she want to go out on the field? Does she want to travel with you? Is she willing to go to these crazy places with you? And no, but, and then they try it for a little bit, and all of a sudden a few months later, it kind of it's just not working. It's just not going to work,
Yeah.
And so don't try to force it. Like, when you find someone, you won't have to, is all I'm saying. And if you're already married and you're already noticing that, man, we are just on two different pages, then again, just try to find something that'll bring you guys together. Even if it's something you volunteer at once a week, or something you both are just passionate about, praying for, start with something, and that will just grow and snowball into all kinds of new opportunities. So I'll just reiterate that, but don't force it, man. It's so key. It's worth waiting for, one last thought, because I've been talking to a lot of the young guys that I'm running with. Just be patient. I know it's so hard, and you probably have been already, but be patient, because next to your decision to follow Christ, your next biggest life decision is who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So it's worth taking some time and being patient and thinking and praying and talking to other mentors and people, and really weighing out, and waiting to, don't just well, she's cute and a Christian, so let's do it. Let's get married. No, get to know them, find out these things. Where are they heading? What are they passionate about? What do they think about this? Find out about children, finances, all the mission, careers. Where do you see yourself? Do those things, go through it, be patient, go slow. Don't try to make it work or convince yourself that this is a good decision. Wait till you really know that you know that you know.
Yeah.
This is the
one.
And you'll know.
So good. Well, man, to wrap it up, we believe that there are four traits that make an incredible marriage. And I've seen it. Danny's seen it. Those four: relational, spiritual, physical, and directional attraction. And man, if you're working in those areas, I believe you will have a super fun, healthy marriage. And, it's not like it's always a work in progress, right? It's not like it's, you work on those and, hey, we're good, man. Seasons change, as Danny and I were talking about. And, man, it's so good to just always be on the same page with your spouse, praying, seeking, reconciliation in those moments, and, just, pursuing her, always pursuing her. And, I think most importantly is pursuing Christ together. And so I hope this episode has been encouraging. You found some things in here that have maybe been helpful. That is our hope and our prayer for you. And please don't hesitate to reach out to the show. You can go to nolongernomads.co, and you can write us about any topic you want us to cover. And we just love you guys, appreciate you, and so thankful you took the time to spend with us. And Danny, thanks for joining, dude. I am so glad we could do this together, and come back on the show again.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Thanks again for having me, man. Love you.
Love you too, man. All right. See ya.